Hello everyone, it's Jen at CK Kurt Connection. I'm here with you today for the Global Monthly Video Hop, and our theme is the new mini catalog. So if you haven't seen that yet, I will show you that. But first, before we get started, I want to show you a picture of a clock that I found at Retro Sweets today in Chatham. And it was my inspiration for the card that I made using the new gears and textures found on page 53 of the new catalog. So give me 1 second to flip the phone here. And there's the picture of the clock. It's just a fabulous clock. And when you see this series or this stamp and bundle set, which is dies and the stamp, it worked fabulously for this. So this is the beginning stages of what we're looking at here is in the catalog. And then I'm going to show you the card I made, and I'll stop the video and I'll show you how to make the card. Just have to find it. So here is the stamp set. And if you haven't noticed, we're getting new packaging. So it comes in the clear tall package like this now. And this is the stamp set. So lots of really cool pieces to use in here. The little screws and the arrows and the chain, all kinds of stuff. And then the dies, you saw them in the catalog, but I'll just show you this as well. So there's all kinds of different dies that you can cut out, and what they look like on the sheet. So there's all kinds of options, and it's such a fun set to play with. Your imagination could go wild with this. Okay, so let's get started. I'll show you the card, and then I can show you how to make it. So first of all, this is the card, and again, I'll switch over to whoops. So there's the picture of the original clock. And then here, card that I made. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So this is the card that I did based on that photo. And I think it turned out pretty awesome. And then this is a fun fold card as well. So when you open it up, it opens upwards. And it's got like a stacked effect to it. So I just did it with a bunch of the different textures and gears inside. I'm not 100% happy with what I did because I think I filled it too far in the middle, because if you're trying to put a message in here, you're going to end up running into the stuff. So I'm going to try to fix that and just kind of go more along the sides instead of in the middle on the one that I'm going to build now. Okay, so give me a second to get the camera set up and then we'll get started. Okay, so I'm back and we're going to show you how to build this card. So this is the original card, and I have all my pieces cut here. I just noticed there's a couple of them I missed, but I'll cut those quickly and add them to the card at the end. So what you're going to need is 2 pieces of 5.5 this way, 5.5 by 4 1/4, so it's exactly half of a sheet of cardstock. Okay. My camera's upside down, so I can't really see what. Can't see what you guys are seeing. So 5.5 by 4 1/4, two pieces of those. So instead of a card base, you're just going to cut it in half. Okay, so I've got my 2 pieces of that, and then I've got this white piece that I'm going to add, and it's 3 inches across by 11 inches across, which is a normal size sheet. So you just cut it down to 3, and then you're going to score at 2, and again at 6.5 back here. Okay. So then when it folds up like that. So the little end you pull up, and then you got the rest of the insert. Okay, so I've got that piece ready, and then I have a piece of wild wheat, and this color is no longer available, but I find this is such an awesome color for gold. We've used it so many times, so I keep pulling it out and reusing it. But this piece is 1 3/4 by 2.5 long. Okay, so that's our back of our clock. And then I have 2 of these little ladders cut out of pecan pie. I don't know if you can see those very well. Okay, so I got 2 of those. And this I stamped and cut out already. So I stamped an early espresso. And then the screws are part of the stamp set. And I stamped those with gray granite. I don't know if you can see the little screw. I'll try bringing it closer to the camera. Maybe you can see them. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's little screw marks. And I've got 2 of those, and I'm going to cut those in half to make part of my clock. And then I've got some of my gears cut out. So in gray granite again, I have a medium-sized gear, a small gear, and this is actually supposed to be a light bulb, but I'm using it as my pendulum on my clock. And then in pecan pie, I cut out a little circle. This circle here is just a tiny circle that's part of the dies. And then in gray granite, I stamped my clock and my gear, and part of my clock I don't see here, so I'm gonna have to pause the video, I think, and find out what I did with with my clock. But anyways, I'm not ready for it yet anyway, so we'll just continue. So this piece I stamped in wild wheat, and now again it's one of the stamps in the collection, and I'm using this as my lines in the clock where the pendulum goes and all the innards of the clock. Okay, so I'll just cut this down. So just kind of cutting it straight, using all the lines that are there to guide me. And then I'll cut it down here. So this is another way to use it too if you don't like the blob, because the stamp is actually this stamp here. So it's looks a little different than the way I'm using it, but just goes to show you you can use it for different ways and different things. Okay, so I got that piece now, and then the only other thing I need is my 2 black gears that I have here that I'll have to cut. So this, I need this white piece is also a piece that we need, and it is going to be 3 3/4 by 5, so it's a little bit smaller than the front. And this is what we're going to use as our card front to put our clock on. So I'm using our black memento ink, early espresso. My big ink pad isn't stamping very well, so I have my little ink spot. And then I have my pecan pie and gray granite and Lost Lagoon and wild wheat. So those are the colors that I'll be using throughout my card. Okay, so starting with Time to Celebrate. Put this here so you guys can see the original card that I'm working off of, hopefully. Okay, and I did keep a few of these little gray tiny pieces that are from the gears that I cut out, and I used those to make it look more like the insides are connected. So I'll just stamp my sentiment. My sentiment actually came from Beautiful Butterflies, which is an old set. So just ink it up here. Then it's going to go on the bottom. So time to celebrate with that. And then I start building my clock. Now, I'm going to use tear and tape only because my adhesive runner doesn't have a ball on it right now. I'm waiting for a refill to come in, so I broke it somehow and it's not very convenient. So this here, the tear and tape, I just throw a piece on each end and that'll hold it. And then you take your backing off. Okay, and I'm going to put my clock fairly high up because I want my pendulum to come down just before my, and you kind of just center it, eyeball it. And then the next thing I'm going to put on are my ladders, which I'm going to cut down a little bit because when I put them on the card, I don't want them to come down past the pendulum. So if you can see on this card, I cut it down so that the pendulum is hanging lower than the ladders. Okay, so I'll just cut that off. And this tear and tape can sometimes be finicky. If you start in the middle, it might be easier to take the backing off. I often find that is the case. And it probably will show, but I'm hoping that I have enough stuff covering it that it won't be too much of an issue. So I'm actually going to put this one like this so that it goes to the top of the card. And down. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to do the same thing, just cut off a couple rungs. And then just tape that. I'm kind of taping it like more towards the center and the bottom so that it's not all gonna have tape showing through. So then I just peel that off, and again, I'm gonna try to line it up on the side. And if it's sticking over the top of your card, you can just snip it a little bit. So flip it over. And so I just had the one side was a little bigger. Okay, and then these I'm gonna cut in half. So what I did is I cut, like they're in sets of 2. So I just did right in the middle. And the reason I did this is because my clock can't be too big for the front of the card. So now I'm just gonna put these on here. Alright, so I'm doing this quickly so that you guys aren't waiting forever, but hopefully you're getting the idea. And the gears are so much fun to play with. Like if you start playing with this set, you're gonna love it. So this is one of our stamped images that I'm gonna put at the top of my clock. And then this is another one that I'm gonna do a little bit lower than that, but probably about 1/4 inch lower. And remember, this is all based off of my inspiration picture of the clock that I saw at the Retro Suite. So, okay. So hopefully you guys are able to see that and following along. Then the next thing I want to put on is my strings. So these strings are actually going the wrong direction, but that's okay. I'll just cut them and make it work. So I'm just gonna do All right, I got lucky on my first one and had them correct, but so this one. All right. Really wish I had some runners right now. They are my go-to, but obviously they weren't available yet, so I'm hoping when I go back in to place my order that it'll be available then. So now this tear and tape is what I offer in my classes, simply because it goes a long way and I can pass it along, especially for my new people that don't know that they need to bring their adhesives to class. That's I bring a few different options, and then they just pick from that of whatever I have to work with, and everybody seems to be fine with that. So I'm just going to move this down a little bit so that when I put my pendulum on, my pendulum's going to come a little further. So I'll glue my pendulum on next. And like I said, I'm using the light bulb as the pendulum. So it is multi-functional as well. You can, find different uses for it. All right. So, hoping the video is still going. Yes. Okay, there's my pendulum, and I've got my other two crossbars that I'm going to put on at the bottom. And then you'll see that the gears go on last, and then you just kind of stack them and put them wherever you want to put them. Now, I don't know if my hands are always in the photo or not, but hopefully you guys are bearing with me. I know this can be boring to watch tape and untape, and I might cut some of the video out too if it ends up being too long and boring. Do like a quick reel or something so it's not so much. Okay, so there's that one, and then you can see how it goes together fairly quickly once you got all your pieces stamped and cut out. Here we go. And next I'm going to take my gray gear, and I'm just going to tuck it in on the inside. So make sure I have some tape on it, and I'm only putting it on the one half because the other half is going to stick out and I don't want the tape to be seen. So I will just stick it in like that. Okay. And then the next gear I'm going to put in is this gear on the side, which is stamped in gray granite. The fun part's when you get to stamp all the random stuff inside too. So we'll do that in a minute. So there's that gear. And then the next gear I'm going to put on is the gear on the side, which is this gray gear here. Gray granite. Okay. And then I have that there. Okay, and next I'm gonna add a couple pieces of those little gray pieces that I told you I kept. Looks like I only have one, so I'll put it. This piece is so tiny to work with. My fingers are so big. All right, there we go. So this piece here, I'm just gonna tuck in here. It's upside down. So I'm just tucking it in between the gear and the clock so that it's attached. Okay, like that. And then we have our black gears, which I'm gonna pause the video if I can find the pause. Okay, so I'm back, and I just put this gray granite gear in there, and now I'm gonna add my black on top of it, just because the black shows up better and it gives it a little bit of depth. So I really like the black on it. And these gears are not the easiest to line up when you stamp them, but regardless of how they turn out, I still think they look pretty amazing. So hopefully you feel the same. This really is not the best. The Tombow might work better, or like I said, the runners, whatever your choice of glue is, a fine tip glue. If I had any of those available right now, I would use them, but this is the best I can do for today. So here we go. I'm gonna add the black, and then on this, what looks like an eyeball, I'm just going to take a black pen and I'm going to write my numbers on here. So I got 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 should be straight down from 12, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then you can put your hands pointing wherever you want. I just drew mine on. So there we go. There's my clock. So this is going to go on the inside like that. And I'll try to line up my lines a little better. So okay. There's that. So my clock's gonna be upside down. I hope not. Alright, I'm just not gonna line it up. There we go. That's good enough. And then this one I'll put on. And that'll be the end of the front, and we can add it to the card base. You can put a couple more gray pieces here if you like, up top. I did do that on my original one, so I've got a couple gray pieces you'll see here. And then I've got one here that I stuck in as well from the original. And you can see that the gray granite actually shows up a little better because your clock shows up better than the black. So you might want to switch that out for a gray granite. Now, this just goes on the front, which is like one of these card fronts, I mean. And they're both the same, so it shouldn't matter which one you use. So my tear and tape I just rip into 4 pieces, and I put along each corner in opposite directions. So I got one going across, one going down, and then across and down. Okay, and then peel it off, and there we go. I also let my daughter and her friends use my adhesives when they're card making with me, so it's nice to have that for them as well, because like I said, it goes a lot further, and then I don't have to worry about all the adhesive runners being used for friends and whatnot. So alright, so there's our front, and then we take our folded cardstock piece, and I'm gonna put tape on this. So this one I just need a couple pieces, and I'm gonna put it on each side, and I can put a third one on the bottom here. I don't know what this fun fold is called, but it's pretty cool. Opens like a really tall card, so kind of just line it up, eyeball it, and you're lining it up to the very bottom of the card base or card front. Okay, so that's that. So then you got all that, and then this piece is going to get glued down to here, but I'm going to stamp first. I should have done that before I glued it on, I guess. And this is where you can just have fun and go random. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm bringing in all my colors and my stamps, and I'm just gonna go kind of crazy quickly with whatever colors and whatever I grab, and then we'll go from there. So I'm using the Lost Lagoon first with the circle image, and I'm just going to stamp off because I don't want it quite as dark as it is, and then stamp off again just off on the side of my paper here, and I might do one more. Okay, and then I also have the blotches and the arrows on here, so I'm going to go ahead and do those in Lost Lagoon as well. And I'm just changing the rotation of my arrows and blotches. My blotches, I didn't even get any blotches on, so I'm gonna just do a blotch down here and a blotch down here, and that's enough Lost Lagoon, I think. So then now I'm gonna switch to gray granite, and I'm gonna do a couple gears and some random hatch marks. So put a gear here, and a gear inside, and a gear on the side, and then the hatch marks I'm gonna do in gray granite as well. And like I said, I'm gonna just stick more to the side of the card this time, so I have more room to write a message, or you can flip it over and put another piece of white cardstock on the back as well. Any option of those is fine. If you really like this card, I'm doing a class in Tilbury on January 22nd from 6 till 8 at the Real Food Kitchen, and also in Chatham at Turns and Tails on January 24th from 1 to 4. So get in touch with me and let me know that you're interested, and I can add you to the list of the classes. We'll be making 3 cards, and this is one of them that we're doing. This one will take a little longer than the other ones, but to me this is a super fun card, and I like to teach a little bit as I go. So so now we're going to pull in our pecan, and we're going to do some stress marks. Looks like rust, or just fun textures. We can use our lines with our wild wheat. And I'm not going to put a ton of lines, but just a couple. And I think it's cool, like, to just do random stuff. Like, it's fun, first of all, and I think it looks really presentable that way, that it's not meant to be perfectly in line. Okay, so this is wild wheat, and on this block I have a whole bunch of the little tiny dies. So I have the light bulb top, I have some hash marks, some screw tops. So it's fun just to play with this, and I'm going to do it in early espresso and just add them to my mix here. And if you don't like it that dark, you can always stamp off your colors. Hopefully you guys are still seeing all this in the... It's hard to tell because my camera's upside down right now. So we'll do that. So that's just fun, just, you know, add the screws or whatever. And use all the little... Now you can put ladders and you can put the bars that we used for the top of the card here if you like that. You don't necessarily have to. You can see that. So this here, okay. And I think I'm gonna leave mine because I went too much with the last time, so I think I'm just gonna leave it alone now. But hopefully you like this, and then this piece will get attached to here. So the trick to this is line up your top and your bottom, and then if you hold it, flip it, then put your tape on, then we're going to be able to line up the colors again. Okay, so on my bottom, my side, and my side. And I noticed this isn't exactly centered on here. I could take it off and recenter it, but I'll just leave it, because if I play with it too much, I'll probably wreck it. So we're almost done. This is a long video. I don't normally do videos this long, but I thought this card was pretty cool to show you how to build it. So okay, so we got our tape on, and now I'm just going to take this and line it up with the front of the card so that my cards line up, make it look like an actual card. And there we go. So, don't tell me. Okay, so we've got our card here. And then we open it up, and we've got all the inside. And you can write your message. There's lots of room there. And it's light enough too that you could always write on the back. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please take a look at all the other demos and see what they have for inspiration for you. And until next month, I look forward to either seeing you at a class or seeing you next month. Take care and Happy New Year. Bye-bye.